Hey everybody, today we've got the best case scenario for the Dems in the 2026 governor's elections. We'll do the Republicans coming up. Today it's going to be for the Dems. And as always, this is just the best reasonable case scenario. Anybody could come up with the perfect hypothetical where the Democrats are expected to be favored in the national environment, so they're going to win almost every single state. It's not how I do it. We've got about a year and a half to go. We're way before the primaries. A lot of candidates in different states are still up in the air. So there are a range of different ways you could fill out this map and different factors you can use for your ratings. The one thing I'm going to lean a little bit toward is the national environment is going to be a little bit bluer than not. And in this, it's going to look more like a blue wave. So this is preliminary, but usually you could add about 5 points on to my normal ratings for the Dems. Some states it's less, some states it's more. And there's bound to be some disagreement on some of these ratings, but that's what it's all about. So we're going to get started. And because this is the first best case scenario, we're going to do it alphabetically. Safe states are going to be 10 or more points, likely 5 to 10, lean under 5, and tilt 1% or less. So we're not going to take forever on each state. We're going to start in Alabama. This is going to be an open seat, and generally, governor gives the opposing political party an opportunity to make some inroads. But back in 2018, when Kay Ivey first won, that was a blue wave. She still won by 19 points. So maybe Doug Jones gets into the race. Maybe something happens eventually. I still think it's going to be safe over 10 for the Republicans, but we'll keep an eye on it. Next state, we've got Alaska, and this is a politically unusual state. It is an open seat. Anything could happen. Back in 2014, they elected independent Bill Walker. And more than a year out from the election, it didn't look like Walker was going to be competitive. But obviously, things change once you actually get closer to an election. For the Dems here, I would think they're hoping that Mary Peltola gets into this race. But even so, as I just said, it's a weird state politically. Something could happen. I think normally the Republicans are going to be favored. But because of all the weird factors, I don't think it's unreasonable that the Dems could pick up this state. So in this scenario, it is going to go leans for the Dems. Next, it's Arizona. Here, Katie Hobbs probably looking for a second term. It's unclear if Andy Biggs is going to run away with the GOP nomination, but it's entirely possible that the Republicans collapse again in this state. Even though Hobbs, I don't think is really popular, and I think she's vulnerable with the expected national environment and her incumbency. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that she could win by at least a couple of points. I don't think it would get up to 6 or 7, but the rating here is going to be a lean and a hold for the Dems. In Arkansas, not a lot of explanation needed here. This one for now is going to stay safe for Sarah Sanders, the Republican. Now we've got 3 blue states that are easily going to go safe for the Dems. It's going to be California on the West Coast, then we've got Colorado, and then on the East Coast, it's Connecticut. And then we come down to Florida. I usually mention here back in that blue wave of 2018, Republicans actually made gains in the Senate, and part of that is due to them knocking off Bill Nelson in the U.S. Senate. They also held the governor's mansion, and since then the state has only gotten redder. Now it is an open seat. It's possible the political winds could shift by the time Election Day rolls around. But the reality is Dems don't have a strong bench here. Republicans do. My guess is whoever the Democrat is, they're going to have to face Byron Donalds. And on a good night for them, I think it would get down to mid-single digits and go likely for the Republicans. One state north to Georgia. A lot of question marks here on both sides. I'm going to assume it's not going to be Stacey Abrams for the 3rd consecutive time. But in the best case scenario for the Dems, yeah, I think they would flip the state. It's kind of an easy rating. We're going to put it in light blue at leans. Hawaii is obviously going to stay safe blue. Idaho, on the other hand, I don't see Dems here getting it under 10. It's going to stay safe Republican. Illinois, regardless of what happens, easy call, safe for the Dems. Next, in Iowa, this is not an easy call. This is going to be an open seat, so in theory, Democrats do have a potential opportunity here. In a similar situation in 2018, Kim Reynolds won by only about 3 points, and it looked like she could be defeated in the polling. Now, I would say since then, this state has probably gotten just a little bit redder. Again, Dems have a weak bench, so this is a state to follow and see what develops. It's not totally out of the question it could flip, but for right now, I've still got to put it in red. It's going to be borderline tilt leans, so it's just on the outside of the radar for the Dems. But until I see more, I'm going to put it at leans. In Kansas, this is a red state, but they do have a Democratic governor. But Laura Kelly is term limited, so usually these states revert back to their normal political lean. So I think it's going to be tough here for the Dems. However, governor is different than president and Senate. Sometimes for governor, states are willing to cross over and support the opposite party. So maybe Dems have a great candidate, they run a great campaign. It's possible Republicans go with a weaker candidate. And maybe voters here are a fan of divided government. Sometimes a supermajority of the legislature and the opposite party for governor just tends to work out. We've seen it in some blue states, we've seen it in some red states. So for now, in this best case scenario, the Dems are going to hold it with a tilt rating. In the northeast corner in Maine, not a lot to say here. This is kind of a blue state already. So on a great night, I think it could hit 10 points regardless of who the nominee is. Next, some super blue states in Maryland and Massachusetts. Massachusetts. They're going to stay safe. Now we've got Michigan. This is an open seat. Democrats here are going to be on defense. Now back in 2018, when Whitmer first won election, it was by just under 10 points. So if everything lines up for the Dems, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it could hit over 5, so this is going to go likely. The next state, we've got Minnesota. Maybe it's Tim Walz, maybe it's somebody else. But in this scenario, I think it's reasonable to think that it could hit 10 points. Not way over, but it is going to go safe. In Nebraska, Dems have no bench here, but maybe Dan Osborne runs as an independent. If he does, I'm assuming he would have the backing from the Dems. But even if that happens, I still think it would be a pretty big uphill climb. I would say Jim Pillen or almost any Republican would be favored. This one is going to go likely Republican. In Nevada, we could be looking at a Joe Lombardo-Aaron Ford matchup. If we do, even though I think Lombardo is generally favored, if the Dems have a solid night, I don't think it's impossible this state could flip. So this state is going to go blue with a Till rating. In New Hampshire, we've got just 2-year terms here. So Kelly Ayotte is pretty new to office. Anything could happen here, but I would give her the benefit of the doubt on being able to win another term, even on a great night for the Dems. So the rating here is going to get all the way down to a tilt for the GOP. In New Mexico, it's an open seat, but it's going to go safe for the Dems. In New York, in a blue wave environment, it's not too difficult to imagine Kathy Hochul winning by double digits. So this is going to go safe. In Ohio, it's similar to Iowa. I think it would get more competitive, but even in this environment, at this point, we're going to put it at lean Republican. Oklahoma is going to stay safe Republican. In Oregon, we've got Tina Kotek. And even though it's a blue state, Dems don't really run up landslide margins here for governor. So is Kotek the strongest incumbent? No, not at all. If she has a good night, I think it would get up to high single digits. Not safe, but it's going to go likely. In Pennsylvania, we've got Josh Shapiro, who seems to be a strong incumbent. Now, yeah, it is kind of a purple state, but both of the last governor's elections in this state were at least by 14 points for the Dems. So in this scenario, it's going to stay safe. Rhode Island is going to stay safe for the Dems. In South Carolina, it's early, but I could see something happening where it could get down under 10. For now, the rating is going to go likely Republican. South Dakota is going to stay safe red. Tennessee is a state we can watch and see if anything develops, but I think it's just too red on paper, so it's going to stay safe Republican. In Texas, it seems like we're looking at Greg Abbott running for term number 4. As I say, things could always change, but for right now, I think Abbott is a pretty strong incumbent. But if the Dems have a great night, I think it could easily get under 10. For right now, under 5, I think would be too unreasonable, so this rating is going to go likely. Then we're going to head up to an extremely blue state, Vermont, but it has a Republican governor, Phil Scott. This state has by far the most range out of all of them. Like New Hampshire, there's just 2-year terms here. If Phil Scott runs yet again, it would be safe Republican. If he doesn't run, it's going to be safe Democrat. So it all depends on how you want to look at it, but for this, we'll just assume that Scott decides to retire and it's going to go safe Democrat. In Wisconsin, it's unclear if incumbent Tony Evers is going to run for a 3rd term. If he does, voters might want to maintain the status quo. We just saw a very convincing win for the liberal candidate in the state Supreme Court election not that long ago. So if the motivation for Dems maintains and Republicans is subdued, then I think the Dems here could win this by at least 5 points. So in this scenario, it's going to get up to likely. The last state is Wyoming, and this one's going to be easy. It's going to go safe Republican. So that's it. It's not easy, but that's the map. That comes out to 22 Democrats, 14 Republicans. The Dems would have pickups in Alaska, Nevada, Georgia, and Vermont. There's plenty of other states where something could develop, like Iowa or South Carolina. But again, this is a blue wave type of scenario, so this assumes that Democrats are going to be motivated, Republicans not so much. And Dems run solid campaigns with strong candidates, Republicans don't. That's why we do these scenarios only once every few months or so, because by next time we should have a little bit more information. Some of these ratings are difficult, and I know other people have totally different takes, but all you've got to do is go back to 22 or 2018 in that blue wave. Take a look at some of the polling that was 6 months or a year and a half out. And in a bunch of states, things change, either with the candidates or the polling itself. So it's easy a year and a half out to make some outlandish calls. But for me, it's all about the confidence level. I'll update it as we go, but for right now, these are the ratings that I'm comfortable with for the best case scenario for the Dems for governor in 2026 as of May 2025. So let me know in the comments. Is your map close to these ratings, or do you have 5, 6, 7 ratings that are totally different? Do you spend time on each state thinking about some of the potential candidates and scenarios that can develop? Or do you just think it's going to be a blue wave and Dems are going to sweep everything? Or maybe you think some of these states should be even redder in this scenario? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.